That's cool.
So, so hello everyone. Thanks for joining us. I was just talking before we started this webinar with another guest, and she asked how I started this. So why don't we start that off with with just that? I started this a few months ago after just kind of getting ribbed by a lot of different friends with all the trips we take. My wife is a teacher. I'm self-employed, so we can travel quite a bit, and I kind of have a knack for finding really cheap trips that we tend to go on. So I started this as just a $12 blog, and I threw up some things to share with my friends. And then I figured, well, heck, if I'm gonna go to this much trouble, I may as well, organize it a little more, expand it a little more, and make this a service. And I've been tinkering and toying with it ever since, and it's still probably more of an obsession than a business, but it's fun and uh, it's productive for me because it helps me keep my eye on trips that I'm going to go on, and that's how I started it. So Lisa, hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you.
And so just so all of you guys know, I'm going to go ahead and just leave the microphones open. If there sometimes some background noise will click in, so I may have to shut people off. But for right now, I'm just going to leave the mic open. If you're using your computer microphone, please be aware of that if you're typing away on your keyboard and so on. But I want this to be more of a question and answer than a monologue from me, because I give plenty of monologues on the videos that I provide you. So with that said, why don't we just start off with the number one question I get asked, and just to kick things off, um, and that is, how do I, rather than waiting for these updates every morning via email, how do I find a trip for spring break or for fall break or in December or whatever? So I thought I would kick things off with just a little overview of that. And with that said, we are not a travel agency. This is a blog. I am a guy in a basement with a blog, and I have not even close to 1% of all the deals out there. My philosophy is I will only put deals that I think are really, really good deals on this blog. So if you're looking for, a fare to Seattle or to Reno or whatever, this might not be the best site. If you're flexible on destination, flexible on dates, this is what this website is designed for. So, for example, if you're starting to plan ahead and starting to think about fall break, you could go to the when drop down, and we're on a computer. It's pretty similar on a mobile phone, um, but we could do this by month, or since I'm married to a teacher, um, and she said, "Gosh, most of these trips I couldn't do because they're when I'm working during the school year." And since I also have kids, that's the same story. So we have this category, which is the common travel times that are scheduled around kids' school schedules, college school schedules, and people like my wife's school schedules. So, for example, if you're starting to think about fall break, we have a category for that. Now, is it totally accurate? No, because everyone has different fall breaks, but we try to hit those second and third weeks of October, which are the most common fall break weeks here in Colorado. So with that, with those, two clicks going, well, not even clicks, just a drop down and going over to that category, all of these should be trips that will fall in that window of fall break or spring break or winter break or whatever the case is. Um, I'm kind of adding those as I go, as they find them. So I think there are a couple holidays missing. I don't think we have winter break yet. Um, Spring break, ironically, is still left from this past spring break. I don't think there's anything that far in advance quite yet. But anyway, so that would be an example of how to go about this. I really like to say that this is not something, if you got a cousin's wedding in June to a specific destination, this site probably isn't going to help you. You'd be better off just going to Kayak or Expedia or Travelocity or whatever. You'll not find anything differently than how I would. So I wouldn't want to waste your time there. But if you're thinking of going somewhere warm, somewhere with a beach, somewhere to go diving, that would be what? You could go to what? And diving destinations and see what we found. So let's dig a little bit deeper and then just say, well, this one to Cancun looks good. I just posted this, so I know it should be accurate information. And here is the question number 2 that I get all the time, and that is, do I have to go on these dates? And the answer is, no, you never have to go on those dates. That just happens to be the specific date that I found that you can get those prices. Hopefully for days or weeks and not just hours. But sometimes when these are really, really good deals, these are gone in hours. But anyway, this is how you check that. The first place to just check and see how flexible these dates are is by clicking on the flight alone price. We take you straight to what's called a flexible search. And you can just see how accurate that pricing is. So that looks pretty flexible. You can usually tell at a glance by just the color coding of what they have. And all of those flights are pretty close to that high 300, 400 price range, which should mean that all of those package prices will be pretty similar as well. So let's go on back, and we saw that flights were $395. There are actually a couple that are a little cheaper than that, but these package prices should be pretty correlated. So this $472 is for the specific dates of October 9th to October 18th. Let's just say that for some reason that doesn't work for you. Maybe your kids go back to school on the 16th, so you want to travel back on the 15th. Okay, so you go and you click the flight alone, like what I just demonstrated. And instead of this date that we have highlighted, you would go and adjust the dates and just say, what do we got? Let's say the 9th to 9th to the 15th. Or let's make it a little longer since you can travel on weekends and it's cheaper. Let's go with Sunday the 8th to the 15th. So now we can click on that flight price, and it's probably pretty safe to assume that you'll find a similar package price to what we found. And here's how you do that. So now we've narrowed the search to just that specific date of the 9th to the 15th. And then after you do that, you can go and make sure that the flight you want is that option, and you can view one of those deals. So pick the time that you want to take a flight, hopefully one of the cheaper ones. And then once you're doing that, my bad, that took me straight to the Mexico price. But once you're doing that, then you can go and click on packages. So the 8th to the 15th, we want to remember that in case things go awry. And yes, they did. I thought it saved those dates, but that's the problem with working without a net and doing things live. So let's change this really quick from the 8th to the 15th. And now we can look at the package prices. And
hey, Joel, I have a question. This is Mark Connie.
Hi, Mark.
So my question is, do you, and I know you're linked into Kayak, but where do you get your initial feeds from? Do you get it by blogs? Do you get it by email? And I'll give you a little bit of my background and history. I was a travel agent. I also worked for Sabre and American Airlines for 25 years. So, and I have to tell you that, from my initial interaction with you this morning, obviously I'm going to St. Lucia in May at a very, very discounted price on business fare. So, I think it's a great service you're offering. I'm just kind of curious where you get your feeds from.
Oh, thanks. So St. Lucia was from the deal we posted?
Absolutely.
Oh, fantastic. That makes me
I did a little bit more research, obviously, from
Sure.
playing with the dates with Kayak. Then, of course, I went to American Airlines and to see what they had to offer and what flexible dates they could provide the fare that I was looking for. And I had to tweak it a little bit, but obviously, to go business class to St. Lucia for $1,200 is just, I mean, I'll pay the idiot tax on that one. So.
Well, that's great to hear, and that's why we started adding those. We don't ever actually research the business fares, but we include a link because I assume there's somewhat of a correlation by
Sure.
finding the best travel dates to go and then going and finding the business fares. Those should be cheaper too. So I'm ecstatic to hear that you actually booked this. I think a lot of people are a little shy to admit that they're taking these trips because they think they owe me a commission or something like that, and that's not at all the case. So
yeah, no,
to answer,
I get that. The only thing that doesn't come up on Kayak, and you have to research a little further, is Southwest fares. Southwest does not have any links to any reservation centers other than their own.
And yeah, I just don't have the bandwidth to do that. I'd love to someday maybe add that. But to answer your earlier question, I have an assistant, and she has helped me for years. I have a virtual assistant, so it's a lot cheaper than having a full-time assistant in the U.S. But I have an overseas virtual assistant who helps me with my consulting business. I mean, this is not yet something that is going to be a business venture. It's still a hobby for me that I'm needing to justify all the time I'm spending on it. But anyway, what we do is we search the various public sites. We don't mess with Southwest, but whatever we can find, mostly through Kayak and through the tools that Kayak gives. And then we enter those into a spreadsheet, which I could show you. And then although I'm not a programmer, programmers would probably laugh at this, I'm kind of good at spreadsheet manipulation. So we enter some basic fields for every destination we can possibly find. And then from that, the reason I use Kayak is because it's all predictable. I can tell what the URL structure is going to be. I can link you up to the proper places and so on. So that way we can scale our efforts, and and then after all of that, I kind of look through, I cherry pick, and I say, ooh, that's a low fare. Let's see if that's just a low fare or if it's also a good package price. Or let's see if now where did my package prices go? Yep, I lost my stuff. So we that's the biggest thing is I find it through. I'm on plenty of mailers. I'm even on a competitor's list, and anytime I find something, I will credit them. But for the most part, it's a combination of just searching every morning, every afternoon. We're on plenty of Travelocities and Expedia's mailers and so on. My assistant organizes that for me, and I look at the numbers and analyze what I think represent good deals.
I think what you offer, rather than, and I do a lot of research for our own travel, but this affords me an opportunity to relax a little bit more and be able to say, okay, well, like you said, I can cherry pick upon this, having, because the amount of research that I tend to do on trips can be in the hours, if not, 8-10 hours to find the